The forge moon of KRYX. 7 hung in space like a graveyard of forgotten dreams. Endless piles of broken starships, dead satellites, and the corpses of ancient machines stretched across its scarred surface. Most species avoided this place. The radiation was deadly, the structures unstable, the work brutal and thankless. But Gina Park didn't mind. She had survived worse. At 28 years old, the human mechanic moved through the twisted metal corridors with practiced ease. Her scanner beeped steadily as she checked hull plates and power conduits. This was dangerous work, the kind that killed people regularly. But humans were tough. They came from Earth, a death world where everything tried to kill you. Compared to that, a toxic scrapyard was almost pleasant. Section 9-7 clear, she reported into her comm unit, wiping sweat from her forehead. The cooling systems had broken again. She would fix them later. Maybe. Her supervisor barely responded. Talmon was a KRYX, one of the insect-like aliens who ruled this part of the galaxy. He thought humans were useful but stupid. Good enough for dirty work, but nothing more. Gina was used to it. Humans were newcomers in the galaxy. 300 years ago, they had been alone on Earth. Now they worked the jobs nobody else wanted. Mining in asteroid fields. Fixing reactors that leaked radiation. Cleaning up after richer, older species. She moved deeper into the Forbidden Section, where the Empire stored technology too dangerous to study. Warning signs covered every wall in 6 different languages. Gina ignored them. After 3 years working here, she knew most forbidden tech was just poorly understood. But today felt different. Suddenly, the entire scrapyard came alive. Imperial cruisers dropped from orbit, their massive shadows swallowing whole sections of the facility. Elite soldiers in ceremonial armor rushed past her position. Gina pressed herself against the bulkhead and watched them go. "What's happening?" she asked over the comm. Only static answered. Then she saw it. The Emperor's flagship, a vessel so enormous it blocked out the stars. It descended directly over Section 9-8, like a predator claiming its prey. Gina's heart pounded. In 3 years, nothing like this had ever happened. All personnel evacuate Sections 9 through 12 immediately. Emergency speakers crackled to life. This is not a drill. But Gina was already deep inside Section 9-8. The way back was blocked by collapsed passages and failing support beams. She could try the maintenance tunnels, but they were even more dangerous than staying put. "You there, human?" The voice carried absolute authority. Gina turned slowly and her breath caught. Emperor Drellend himself stood before her, surrounded by 20 armored warriors. The KRYX ruler was ancient, his shell scarred from countless battles. His compound eyes reflected cold intelligence that had conquered half the galaxy. "Your name?" he demanded. "Gina Park, Your Majesty. Mechanic, 3rd class." She bowed quickly, hoping it was enough. No human had ever been this close to the Emperor and lived to tell about it. "You work with ancient machines. You understand them." It wasn't a question, but Gina answered anyway. "Yes, Your Majesty. I have a talent for..." Silence. He gestured with one claw, and his guards parted like a curtain. Beyond them, Gina saw something impossible. A giant stood in an excavated chamber, rising 500 meters tall. It was humanoid but utterly alien, covered in crystalline metal and patterns that hurt to look at. Dark veins ran through its frame like a sleeping god's circulatory system. Every surface seemed to absorb light, making it feel more like a hole in reality than an object. "The predecessor Sentinel," Emperor Drellend said, and Gina heard something new in his voice. "Fear. 10,000 years we have possessed it. 10,000 years we have failed to activate it. Our greatest minds have tried and failed." He turned to face her directly. "You will examine the maintenance interface. Only examine. Touch nothing else. Attempt no activation. Do you understand? I'm just a mechanic, Your Majesty. I don't think. You are human, from a death world. You survive impossible conditions. You see solutions where others see chaos." His mandibles clicked in frustration. "Perhaps you can succeed where we have failed." Gina wanted to refuse. Every instinct screamed this was beyond her abilities. She was being used as an expendable test subject. But Empress didn't accept refusal from third-class mechanics. She approached the Titan slowly, scanner held before her like a shield. The patterns on its surface seemed to shift as she drew near, responding to her presence. That should have been impossible. The machine was supposed to be dead. At the Titan's base, she found a panel, something like a control interface or maintenance port. The KRYX had clearly tried to open it. Scorch marks and pry damage covered the surrounding area. Carefully, the Emperor warned. Many have died attempting this. Gina knelt before the panel and studied it. Her scanner gave useless readings. Nothing made sense, but there was something else. A feeling she had learned to trust over years of working with machines. An instinct. The panel wasn't locked. It was waiting. She reached out, fingers hovering over the crystalline surface. Patterns flowed beneath it like liquid light. She could almost hear something. A rhythm, a pulse, a song that had nothing to do with sound. What are you doing? Talmon hissed from behind her. The Emperor said examine only. But Gina barely heard him. Her fingers touched the panel, and she understood. The interface was biological. It was reading her, learning her, deciding if she was worthy. She pressed her palm flat and made an adjustment, not consciously, just instinct, a twist of her wrist, a certain pressure, a pattern that felt right. Don't touch that. Emperor Dralanth roared. Too late. The entire moon shook. Gina was thrown backward, hitting the metal floor hard. Alarm screamed. Guards raised weapons, searching for threats they couldn't identify. And the Titan opened its eyes. Light blazed from the Sentinel, warm and alive. Patterns raced across its surface like rivers of gold and silver. The chamber filled with sound like 1,000 voices singing in harmony, rising from frequencies too low to hear the pitches that made teeth ache. Impossible, the Emperor breathed. The Titan's head turned slowly and looked down at the insect below. Then it spoke. The language was ancient and unknown, but somehow Gina understood every word. Awaiting pilot confirmation. DNA markers compatible. Neural patterns acceptable. Authorization granted under Guardian Protocol. Welcome, Inheritor. I am Sentinel-7 designation Goliath. I have waited long for your return. Gina stared up at the Titan, mind reeling. What? I didn't mean to. You carry the genetic signature of the predecessors. You are human. You are the ones we were built to protect. You are the ones we were built to serve. Secure that human, the Emperor commanded. The Sentinel must be contained. Goliath's hand moved impossibly fast for something so large. It slammed down between Gina and the KRYX forces, creating an instant barrier. Warning lights blazed across its palm. Threat detected. Protecting pilot. All hostiles will be neutralized. Wait. Gina scrambled to her feet. Nobody's hostile. This is just a misunderstanding. The Titan paused, its massive head tilting toward her. The command center of the Imperial flagship was not built for humans. Gina sat in a chair meant for beings twice her size, feeling small and terrified. She had just activated a weapon the Emperor had been trying to control for 10,000 years. Now she waited to learn if he would kill her or use her. Emperor Dralanth stood at the observation window, watching Goliath below. 20 battleships surrounded the Titan with weapons ready. Everyone knew those weapons were useless. One Sentinel could destroy the entire fleet before they fired a second shot. Tell me, Gina Park, the Emperor said without turning. Do you understand what you've done? I woke up a giant robot. She winced. Probably not the right tone for addressing an Emperor. Her supervisor, Talmon, made a choking sound by the door. The Emperor turned slowly. That giant robot is a predecessor Sentinel, a war machine capable of destroying entire star systems. For 10,000 years, every species has tried to activate them. All have failed, until a human mechanic touched it. He moved closer. The Sentinel has bonded with you. It recognizes you as its pilot. It will not accept commands from anyone else, and it cannot be destroyed without killing you first. The temperature seemed to drop. So what happens now? Gina asked carefully. Before the Emperor could answer, alarms screamed throughout the ship. Every screen flared red. "Your Majesty!" A tactical officer's voice crackled through the speakers. Long-range sensors detecting anomalous readings at the galactic rim. Multiple contacts. Thousands of them. "Specify," the Emperor commanded. "Unknown vessel classification. Energy signatures match nothing in our databases. They are consuming everything in their path. 3 outer colonies have gone dark in the last hour." The Emperor's entire body went rigid. Gina had never seen a KRYX afraid. She was seeing it now. "Show me," he ordered. The main display showed a star map. Red markers bloomed like drops of blood in water, spreading inward with horrible speed. At the edge of sensor range, something moved, a darkness that swallowed light itself. "The Void Swarm," the Emperor whispered. "It cannot be. We destroyed them. The predecessors eliminated them." A new voice filled the command center, ancient and powerful, coming from every speaker. Goliath had accessed their communications. Negative. The predecessors contained them, drove them beyond the galactic barrier, built the Sentinels to guard against their return. The barrier has failed. The swarm is returning. This is why I awakened. This is why I bonded with my pilot. Gina felt her stomach drop. "Wait, you're saying those things out there are what you were built to fight?" "Affirmative. I am a guardian. My purpose is to protect against extinction-level threats. The swarm has consumed thousands of galaxies. Only the predecessors successfully resisted them. Only the Sentinels can truly harm them." The Emperor turned to Gina. For the first time, she saw desperation in his eyes. "How many Sentinels are active?" he asked. "1," Goliath replied. 7 remain dormant, awaiting compatible pilots. "And only humans can pilot them." "Correct. The genetic markers are unique to humanity. Your species are the inheritors, the descendants of those who built us." The command center fell silent, except for soft pinging, as sensors tracked the swarm's advance. Gina's mind spun. Humans were descendants of the predecessors? It seemed impossible. Humanity had only reached the stars 300 years ago. They were primitives compared to empires like the KRYX. "You've been hiding this," she said, looking at the Emperor. "You've known humans could pilot the Sentinels and kept us in the dark." The Emperor didn't flinch. "We discovered the connection 200 years ago when we first encountered your species. But we could not activate the Sentinels, so the knowledge remained classified. Humanity was too unpredictable. We feared what you might do with such power. So you kept us as laborers, as second-class citizens." Anger burned in Gina's chest. "While sitting on technology that belongs to us." "Yes, and now that choice may doom us all." Another alarm. Another system gone dark. The swarm was accelerating. "How long?" the Emperor demanded. The tactical officer's voice shook. "At current speed, they will reach core systems in 6 months. Earth in 8. Earth. Gina hadn't been home in 5 years. The colony where she grew up had been destroyed by pirates when she was 15. She had spent her adult life running, working, surviving. Now something far worse than pirates was coming for humanity's homeworld. "Pilot." Goliath's voice filled her mind. "I require authorization to access galactic databases. I must locate the other Sentinels. We cannot face the swarm with only one guardian." "Do it," Gina said. Then remembering where she was, "If His Majesty permits." The Emperor stared at her for a long moment. She could see the calculation in his eyes. Pride versus survival. Control versus cooperation. "Granted," he said finally. "And Gina Park, I am assigning my daughter, Commander Myri, to assist you. She will help locate and recruit compatible pilots." "Your daughter?" "She is my finest tactical officer. And unlike many of her peers, she understands that strength without honor is tyranny." He turned to the door. "Myri, attend." The door opened and a young KRYX officer entered. Unlike her father, Commander Myri wore functional armor scarred from real combat. Her compound eyes studied Gina with open curiosity. "You're the human who woke the Titan," Myri said. "Not a question. Simple fact. Guilty." Good. I was getting bored with peacekeeping missions. Myri's mandibles curved in what might have been a smile. I have studied your species. You are survivors. Adaptable. Stubborn. Exactly what we need. We. Gina raised an eyebrow. The galaxy, though most of them don't know it yet. Sentinel database accessed. Goliath announced. 7 dormant units located. Sentinel-1, designation Atlas, located in the outer reaches. Sentinel-2, designation Titan, located in the nebula expanse. Sentinel-3. Wait, the Emperor interrupted. These locations span the entire galaxy. Some are in neutral space. Others are in hostile territories. Irrelevant. The swarm does not recognize political boundaries. Either we recover all 8 Sentinels and find compatible pilots, or the galaxy dies. Choose. Gina stood up, legs shaking but voice steady. Then we better start recruiting. Your Majesty, I need transport supplies and access to human populations throughout the galaxy. You will have it. The Emperor moved to a console and began issuing orders. But understand this, Gina Park. You have become the most important human alive. You are bonded to a weapon that can save or destroy civilizations. Every faction will want to control you. Let them try, Gina said, surprised by the steel in her own voice. Goliath won't let them. Correct, pilot. You are under my protection. Any who threaten you will be eliminated. Myri's mandibles clicked in approval. I like her already. Father, permission to speak freely? Granted. The Empire has spent millennia trying to control power. Perhaps it is time we learn to serve it instead. She bowed to Gina, a gesture of respect between equals. I will prepare a ship and crew. We leave in 6 hours. As the command center erupted in activity, Gina felt Goliath's presence in her mind, steady and protective. The transport ship cut through hyperspace at dangerous speeds, pushing far beyond safe limits. Gina stood in the observation deck, watching stellar streams blur past, still trying to understand the weight on her shoulders. 3 days since Goliath awakened. 3 days since her life as a simple mechanic ended forever. Behind her, Myri reviewed tactical data with Dr. Tovin, a 4-armed scientist who had volunteered for the mission. The Centauri species was known for curiosity and brilliant minds, making Tovin both invaluable and occasionally annoying. Fascinating, Tovin muttered, gesturing at holographic displays. The genetic markers allowing human-sentinel bonding are scattered throughout your species. Approximately 1 in every 10,000 humans carries the full sequence. That's not many, Gina said. On the contrary, with Earth's population at 12 billion and colonies adding another 8 billion, that gives us 2 million potential pilots. Tovin's large eyes sparkled with excitement. Though genetic compatibility doesn't guarantee psychological compatibility, the Sentinels have personalities. I've noticed, Gina said dryly. Goliath had been a constant presence in her mind since the bonding, always there like a guardian standing just outside her vision. I prefer the term protective, Goliath rumbled in her thoughts. You are fragile, pilot. It is my duty to ensure your survival. I'm not fragile. I survived the Talus colony massacre. You were fortunate. Fortune is not reliable defense against the swarm. Myri approached, her armor gleaming in the soft light. We're approaching the outer reaches. The first Sentinel's location is on a mining planet called Dokera 9. Population 300,000, mostly human contract workers. What kind of work? Gina asked. Deuterium extraction. Dangerous. Poorly regulated. The kind of place humans end up when they have nowhere else to go. Myri's tone carried unexpected sympathy. My father would say they're there because humans are expendable. I say they're there because humans refuse to give up, even when the galaxy has given up on them. The ship lurched suddenly, alarms blaring. Gina grabbed a support rail as the deck tilted. Report. Myri barked. Emergency drop from hyperspace. Something's blocking our route, not on any chart. The observation window filled with a sight that made Gina's blood run cold. Space itself looked wounded. A rift hung before them, edges writhing with colors that hurt to see. And pouring through it came ships, if they could be called ships. Organic. Twisted things that look grown rather than built. Surfaces covered in what might have been armor or might have been shell. Swarm Vanguard. Tovin breathed. By the ancestors, they're already this deep into the galaxy? Negative. Goliath's voice filled the bridge speakers. This is a scout fleet. They're mapping territory, identifying high-value targets. The main force remains at the rim. How many? Myri demanded. 47 vessels. Class designation harvesters. They're heading for mining colonies. The swarm consumes heavy elements to reproduce. Dokera, 9 is exactly the target they seek. Gina felt ice in her veins. Can we warn them? We're trying, but there's interference. The swarm ships generate some kind of field disrupting long-range communications. Myri turned to Gina, expression grim. Can Goliath fight them? I can eliminate the scout fleet, the Sentinel confirmed. But, pilot, you are not trained. Our bond is new. Combat will be uncomfortable. Define uncomfortable, Gina said. You will experience everything I experience. Every impact, every energy discharge, every target's destruction. The neural feedback can be overwhelming. Gina looked at the swarm ships advancing toward an unsuspecting mining colony. 300,000 people, most of them human, all about to die if she did nothing. Give me to Goliath, she said. Now! 5 minutes later, Gina stood in Goliath's cockpit, a crystalline chamber inside the Sentinel's chest. It was less a control room and more a sensory interface. Streams of light flowed around her, and when she touched them, she felt the Titan's body as if it were her own. 500 meters tall. Weapon systems she didn't understand, but somehow knew how to use. Power reserves that could level mountains. This is insane, she whispered. Yes, Goliath agreed, but it is also necessary. Are you ready, pilot? No. Let's do it anyway. The Sentinel launched from the ship's hangar, and Gina's stomach lurched as she felt every meter of acceleration. Through Goliath's sensors, she could see the swarm fleet adjusting course, some toward the colony, others turned to face this new threat. Weapons online. Primary arrays charged. Pilot, designate targets. Gina's hands moved through the light streams, and targeting markers appeared in her vision. 47 enemy ships. She selected the closest 10. Fire. Light erupted from Goliath's palms. Not lasers, but something that bent space itself. The swarm ship simply ceased to exist, matter unraveling at the molecular level. And Gina felt it. The discharge, the energy expenditure, the satisfaction of threat eliminated. It was intoxicating and terrifying in equal measure. Warning, enemy vessels adapting. Shields modulating to resist reality manipulation weapons. They can do that? Gina gasped. The swarm learns quickly. It is why they have consumed so many galaxies. Switch to kinetic armaments. Goliath's back opened, revealing rows of projectile weapons that would have been artillery on a planetary scale. They fired, and Gina felt the recoil through her entire body, phantom pain that made her teeth clench. 20 more ships destroyed. But the swarm was adapting, formations shifting to maximize efficiency while minimizing exposure. They're coordinating, Goliath observed. This fleet has a command node. They're the largest vessel. Gina saw it. A ship twice the size of the others, covered in sensor rays pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. If we kill it, do the others stop? They become disorganized, vulnerable, but it will defend itself with everything available. The remaining swarm ships suddenly changed course, all converging on Goliath simultaneously. Gina felt panic rising, too many coming too fast. Trust me, pilot, and trust yourself. Gina's hands moved to the light streams, and Goliath moved with her, dodging and weaving, its massive form impossibly agile. Swarm weapons fire. Some kind of acidic projectile splashed harmlessly off energy shields. She returned fire, each shot precisely targeted. Ships died, but more kept coming. Then she saw it, a gap in the formation, just wide enough for Goliath to slip through. It would only exist for 3 seconds, less if the swarm realized their mistake. Going through. Gina pushed forward and Goliath accelerated. Swarm ships flashed past, so close their shields crackled against each other. Then they were clear, face to face with the command ship. Pilot, this requires full power. The feedback will be intense. Just do it. Goliath's chest opened, revealing a directed energy beam powered by a miniature star contained within the Sentinel's core. The beam lanced out, and Gina screamed as she felt power surge through every nerve. The command ship's shields held for exactly 2 seconds. Then it ruptured like a balloon, its organic structure unable to withstand forces meant for stellar engineering. The remaining swarm ships immediately scattered, coordination lost. Dokera, 9 smelled like metal and desperation. Gina descended from the ship into a mining complex that had seen better decades, her legs still shaky from piloting Goliath. The colony sprawled across a canyon system, prefabricated structures clinging to cliff faces like metal barnacles. Charming place, Myri observed, her weapon system scanning for threats. How do humans live like this? Same way your people lived before the Empire, Gina replied, by being too stubborn to die. Dr. Tovin consulted a scanner, his 4 arms working independently. The genetic signature is strong here. One of the compatible pilots is definitely in this colony, possibly more than one. They made their way through narrow streets packed with workers ending their shifts, humans mostly, but also a smattering of other species desperate enough to take dangerous work. The conversations died as they passed. A KRYX commander in full armor wasn't a common sight in places like this. A local administrator, a tired-looking human woman named Sunny, met them at the colony's central hub. "You're here about the attacks," she said without greeting. "News travels fast. Even out here. 3 colonies gone. People are panicking. We're here to prevent Dokera, 9 from becoming number 4. Gina said, "We need to find someone. A human with specific genetic markers. They can pilot a giant alien war machine. Yeah, the whole galaxy's talking about it." Sunny's eyes narrowed. "You're her, the mechanic who woke up the Titan. Half the news feeds are calling you humanity's savior. The other half think you're working for the Empire. I'm working for survival." Gina said flatly, "Do you have genetic records for workers here?" "Some. Contract workers usually get a basic scan. But a lot of folks here are off the grid, running from debts, criminal records, bad marriages." Sunny shrugged. "We don't ask questions." "Pilot." Goliath's voice resonated in Gina's mind. "I can sense Atlas from here. The Sentinel is beneath the colony, buried in the primary mining shaft. It has been dormant for millennia. And the compatible pilot? Close. Very close. The genetic signature is unusual, stronger than expected." A commotion erupted from a nearby bar, shouting and the sound of breaking glass. Myri's hand went to her weapon, but Gina was already moving. Inside the bar, a crowd had formed around 2 people fighting, or rather one person effortlessly handling 3 attackers. The fighter was a woman in her early 30s, lean and scarred, moving with efficiency of someone who'd learned combat in places where losing meant dying. "That's enough, Hannah," Sunny shouted. "Those miners have families." The woman, Hannah, released the last attacker, who slumped to the floor, gasping. "Then they should teach their families not to cheat at cards." "Her," Goliath confirmed. Kong Hannah, former military, discharged under unclear circumstances. Genetic compatibility 97%, one of the highest I've ever detected. Hannah's eyes found Gina, then Myri, then narrowed with understanding. "Military. You've got that look. What branch?" "Former KRYX Imperial Advisor," Myri said, "currently attempting to prevent galactic extinction. Ambitious." Hannah grabbed a bottle from behind the bar, ignoring the bartender's protests, and took a long drink. "Let me guess, you need something from me. Everyone always does." Gina stepped forward. "You've heard about the swarm attacks." "Hard not to. Half the colony wants to evacuate. Other half figures nowhere safe. Might as well die earning credits." Hannah's expression was carefully neutral, but Gina saw tension in her shoulders. "What's it got to do with me?" "Everything. You can pilot a Sentinel, one of the ancient war machines built to fight the swarm." Hannah laughed, sharp and bitter. "Lady, I fix mining equipment. Before that, I was a combat engineer. I'm good at breaking things and occasionally putting them back together. I'm not some chosen hero. Neither was I, Gina said. I was a mechanic. 3rd class. Lowest rank there is. But the Sentinel doesn't care about ranks or titles. It cares about genetics and will. You're both. And if I say no, then 300,000 people die when the swarm arrives. Because they will arrive. This colony is exactly what they're looking for. Heavy elements, isolated location, minimal defenses. Hannah took another drink, eyes distant. I left the military because I was done being a weapon, done taking orders that got good people killed for bad reasons. She looked at Gina. Why should this be different? Because this time, the people giving orders are in danger too. Because the swarm doesn't care about politics or power. It just consumes. And because... Gina hesitated, then continued. Because I can't do this alone. I've piloted Goliath once. In combat. I was terrified every second. But I did it because people needed me to. And now I'm asking you to be just as terrified, just as brave. Silence fell over the bar. Hannah stared at Gina for a long moment. Show me, she said finally. Atlas was magnificent and terrible. Buried in the mining shaft for thousands of years. The Sentinel had been mistaken for a geological formation. Crystalline structures that miners worked around, unable to process with conventional tools. Now, with Goliath and the ship providing power, the ancient machine was coming alive. Hannah stood at the interface panel, her hand hovering over the crystalline surface. This is insane. Yes, Gina agreed. Do it anyway? Hannah pressed her palm to the panel, and Atlas awakened. The Sentinel was different from Goliath, sleeker, faster looking. Its design suggesting speed over raw power. When it spoke, its voice carried a different quality, younger somehow. Pilot detected. Compatibility confirmed. I am Sentinel, 1 designation Atlas. I have waited long for your return. Inheritor. Hannah stumbled back, eyes wide. It's in my head. I can feel it. Do not fear. We are bonded now. I am your shield, your weapon, your partner. Together we will face the darkness. That's 2, Myri said, relief evident in her voice. 6 more to go. But Dr. Tovin was staring at a scanner, expression troubled. Commander, we have a problem. Multiple problems. I'm detecting... No, this can't be right. What? Gina demanded. I'm receiving distress signals. Multiple frequencies, multiple languages. From Earth. The blood drained from Gina's face. What's happening? Tovin activated a holographic display, showing Earth's solar system. Surrounding it were red markers. Dozens of them. The Galactic Council has issued an ultimatum. Tovin said quietly. They're demanding Earth surrender all humans with predecessor genetic markers for mandatory military service in defense of the galaxy. They're trying to conscript us. Gina breathed. Force us to pilot the Sentinels. Earth's government has refused, Tovin continued. And now 6 different species have sent fleets to enforce the ultimatum. They're blockading the planet. Hannah's voice was ice. They're holding humanity hostage. Either we give them soldiers or they let Earth burn when the swarm arrives. Unacceptable, Goliath rumbled. Humans are inheritors. They cannot be enslaved or conscripted. This violates the fundamental purpose of our creation. Agreed, Atlas added. We were built to protect humanity, not to serve those who would enslave them. Myri's mandibles clicked in distress. My father must be facing incredible pressure from the Council. The entire galaxy is terrified. They're not thinking clearly. 3 months had passed since the Battle of Dokara 9. 3 months since 2 Sentinels had faced down a Council fleet and won, not through destruction but through demonstration. The galaxy had watched in awe as Goliath and Atlas dismantled 30 battlecruisers without destroying a single one. Precision strikes that disable weapons and engines while leaving crews unharmed. It was a message. Humanity could destroy you, but we choose not to. Now Gina stood in the cargo bay looking at 7 humans who had changed everything. 7 pilots. 7 Sentinels. 7 stubborn souls who refused to let the galaxy burn. Hannah stood beside her, arms crossed, scarred and steady. Then there was Day, a cargo hauler from the asteroid belt, quiet and methodical. Juno, a farmer from a border colony who'd lost everything to raiders. Young Mincio, barely 20, a navigation specialist with reflexes that made her perfect for the fastest Sentinel. Bora, a doctor who'd volunteered when she realized the Sentinels had medical capabilities. Jehun, an engineer who understood machines. And Kongmin, a former prisoner who'd found redemption. Different backgrounds, different stories, but all carried the predecessor markers. All had bonded with ancient machines built to save galaxies. Final briefing, Myri announced, voice cutting through the bay's ambient noise. The Swarm's main fleet has breached the inner territories. 40 star systems lost in the past week. Casualties estimated at 100 billion and climbing. The number was incomprehensible. Gina felt it like a physical weight. Dr. Tovin pulled up a holographic display showing the galactic core. The Swarm is converging on a single point, the Ancestral Gate. It's a spatial anomaly the predecessors used as a transit hub. If the Swarm captures it, they can move freely throughout the galaxy. Every inhabited system becomes vulnerable. So we stopped them there, Day said, his voice rough from years breathing recycled air. Against what odds? Bora asked quietly. Tovin's 4 hands trembled as he manipulated the display. Swarm vessels number in the millions. Their main force includes 13 hive ships, each one the size of a small moon, capable of processing entire planets into raw biomass. And we have 8 Sentinels, Kongmin observed. I'm not a mathematician, but those numbers seem problematic. The numbers are irrelevant. Goliath's voice filled the bay, speaking for all Sentinels simultaneously. We were designed for exactly this scenario. 1 Sentinel can face 1,000 Swarm vessels. 8 can face millions. But victory requires precision, coordination, and sacrifice. The last word hung in the air like a knife. Sacrifice, Gina repeated softly. You mean we might not all come back? The Swarm's hive mind reside within the largest hive ship. To truly defeat them, we must reach its core. The journey will require 7 Sentinels to create a path through the Swarm fleet. The 8th must make the final approach alone. Silence fell over the cargo bay. Every pilot understood what that meant. Then we draw straws? Gina asked, how do we decide who? I'll do it, Hannah said immediately. No, Gina countered. Goliath is the first, the strongest. It should be me. Actually, Mincio said, her young voice steady, my Sentinel is the fastest. I can reach the core before the Swarm realizes what's happening. There will be no drawing of straws, Goliath interrupted. The choice will be made in battle. When the moment comes, 1 pilot will know it is their time. Trust in the bond. Trust in each other. Myri stepped forward, armor gleaming. The combined galactic fleet will support you. Every species that can fly has sent ships. We number in the tens of thousands. How many will survive? Jehun asked. Enough, Myri said firmly, because you 8 will give us a chance. 1 hour to the Ancestral Gate, the ship's AI announced. The pilots dispersed to their Sentinels. Gina made her way to Goliath, but Myri caught her arm. Gina, if this goes wrong, if the worst happens, tell Earth we tried. Gina said, tell them humanity didn't go quietly. I'll tell them you went as guardians, not as weapons, as protectors who chose to stand when no one else could. They embraced human and KRYX, 2 species learning to see each other as equals. The Ancestral Gate hung in space like a wound in reality, a swirling vortex of colors that shouldn't exist. And surrounding it was a swarm, millions of ships, billions of organisms, a darkness so vast it seemed to devour starlight itself. The combined galactic fleet emerged from hyperspace in battle formation, a wall of steel and energy facing an ocean of teeth and hunger. All Sentinels launch, Admiral Talmon commanded. 8 Titans descended into the battlefield like ancient gods, their presence immediately drawing the Swarm's attention. Remember the plan, Goliath broadcast to all pilots. We create the path. The fleet holds the flanks. One of us reaches the hive mind. Failure is not acceptable. No pressure. Day muttered over the shared channel. The swarm struck first, waves of smaller vessels called Reapers, each one a nightmare of organic weaponry. They swarmed the Sentinels like angry insects. Gina felt Goliath move through her, felt each weapon discharge as if it were her own arm striking. Reapers died by the hundreds, but more kept coming. Always more. Left flank collapsing, someone shouted. We need support. Sentinel 3, assist. Myri ordered. Juno's Titan broke formation, diving into the swarm vessels, threatening the fleet's flank. Gina felt pride surge through her bond with Goliath. They were doing it. They were actually holding the line. Then the Hive ships entered the battle. 13 massive vessels, each one pulsing with biological energy. They didn't fire weapons, they birthed them. Thousands of Reapers spawned from each Hive ship every minute, an endless tide of violence. Sentinels, target the Hive ships. Gina commanded. We cut off their production, we win. The 8 Titans focused fire, their predecessor weapons tearing through swarm vessels. One Hive ship ruptured, then another, but it wasn't enough. The swarm was adapting, shields evolving in real time. Pilot, Goliath said urgently, I'm detecting the Hive mind's location, the central Hive ship, but it's protected by 3 layers of swarm vessels. We cannot all reach it. Then we make a hole, Hannah growled over the channel. Atlas and I will lead. Everyone else, follow our path. Hannah, no, Gina started, but Atlas was already moving, its sleeker form accelerating to impossible speeds. It carved the swarm like a spear, weapons firing continuously. Hannah's scream came over the channel, not pain but defiance. Come on, is that all you've got? The other Sentinels followed, fighting deeper into the swarm's formation. Gina lost track of time. There was only the next target, the next threat, the next impossible second of survival. Then Dave's voice strained. My Sentinels compromised. Hull integrity failing. I can't. His Sentinel erupted in light, triggering a chain reaction that destroyed thousands of swarm vessels. Day was gone. No! Mencio screamed. Keep moving. Gina forced the words past her grief. He bought us ground. Use it. They pressed forward. Juno's Sentinel fell next, its pilot directing the dying Titan into a Hive ship's core. Another massive explosion. Another sacrifice. 5 Sentinels remained. Then 4 as Bora made a choice. The end.